Now to Your Voice, Your Vote, the race for 2016, and we are in Iowa tonight with former Florida Governor Jeb Bush. Our moment in the country store here, in the car, what he said, the common hurdle, in fact, that both he and Hillary Clinton face, and what Jeb Bush revealed to me about his very private wife. Bush.
How you doing?
Fancy meeting you in Iowa.
Yeah.
And so it officially begins, one country store, one person at a time.
What are you doing in here?
I'm campaigning for President of the United States.
This just in. The governor telling me he ran out of shaving cream 509 days before Election Day.
Oh, there it is. Bless you.
35 years after you were working the phones here for your father, and look at what we found. A little...
Uh-oh, that was me.
What would you say to that guy?
I would say that was one of the greatest experiences of giving back to a father who loved me unconditionally when I was a kid.
And so as you embark on this 509 days out, how easy is this going to be for someone who describes himself as an introvert?
I don't know if because I'm introverted or not. I'm a grinder. I'm really competitive. I'm really focused. I'm very disciplined. But it takes a lot of effort for someone who's introverted, and I admit I am.
It's interesting. Our current president takes a lot of heat for being insular and not having a beer, say, with members of the opposite party. Having a beer with members of the other side doesn't sound like something an introvert would enjoy either.
But it's work. It's required. That's not the president's forte.
I want to ask about your brother, President George W. Bush. You have said, I have to do the Heisman on my brother that I love, that this is not something I'm comfortable doing.
Yeah. There's a real fascination about where I'm different, where I'm the same. But, you know, when you love someone as your brother or your dad, it's not easy for me to say, just kind of throw them under the bus to make myself look better. I just can't do it.
He has said he will campaign for you. Will you ask him to?
He's been helpful already. He's helped in gatherings where it wasn't inconvenient for him.
So he'll be out there in the battleground states with you?
I don't know. I don't know yet. We just started.
Let's switch, if we could, to the mood of the country, because your mother, Barbara Bush, famously said that there have been enough Bushes in the White House. She's come around on that, changed her mind. But she did say something that a lot of Americans, quite frankly, are saying to themselves, which is, you know, a Bush or a Clinton, isn't there anyone else out there? And I'm curious, when you hear that, do you understand where people are coming from?
Absolutely, I do. I'm totally self-aware and understand that that I have a challenge, and I intend to overcome it by sharing my life story.
Let's talk immigration. Your kickoff speech this week, we saw the hecklers spelling out legal status is not enough. You have said along the way you would be open to the idea of a path to citizenship, more recently legal status. So as we sit here today in Iowa, where do you stand?
I think we ought to have a path to legal status. And the kids that were protesting, frankly, I think they ought to have a path to citizenship. DREAM Act kids that are here, you know, because their parents came, they had no control over it. There ought to be some recognition that we're not going to send them back to a country they know nothing about.
So a path to citizenship for them?
Absolutely.
And not their parents?
Not their parents.
On Iraq, President Obama just authorized an additional 450 American troops being sent to Iraq. Would you send them?
We need a strategy in Iraq. This president has admitted twice now in the last year that he doesn't have a strategy, yet he is kind of sending troops without a strategy.
Some of your Republican opponents right now in the primary have weighed in. Scott Walker doesn't rule out boots on the ground. Lindsey Graham suggesting 10,000 ground troops. Can you rule out boots on the ground?
No, I think we have boots on the ground already.
The Supreme Court set to rule on same-sex marriage any day now. I'm curious what you hope the court decides.
I hope that they decide that the state should make this decision.
A lot of people think that this issue in particular is a generational issue. And we saw your parents as a witness to a same-sex marriage in Maine. And I'm curious, would you witness a same-sex marriage if you were asked?
Sure, I would. I would. If they were friends and I cared for them, of course I would.
Your wife, Columba.
Yeah.
We saw the tweet not long ago. Happy anniversary to my wife of 41 years. We have read how private your wife is, and I'm curious what she said to you this time that you knew that this was the time to run.
She told me something. She told a friend, and then she told me that not allowing me to pursue this mission would be like telling a musician you can't play music, which I thought was so typical of my wife. The way she expresses herself. In the car, driving me through Iowa, I asked the governor about his cherished Sundays with his grandchildren.
How many of those Sundays are you going to have to put aside?
I'm pretty serious about maintaining Sunday is the afternoon for my grandkids, which is really important to me. So I can campaign really hard for 6 days and take a day off for a while.
Jeb Bush telling me he is determined to hold on to those Sunday fun days, as they call them in the family.
Tonight, Wisconsin Governor Scott Walker is now officially running for president, and he's aware how many have announced before him.
You are the 15th Republican now to fight for this nomination. What do the American voters not know about you that helps seal the deal?
If Republicans are going to take on a name from the past and Hillary Clinton, they need a name from the future.
Is Jeb Bush a name from the past or a name for the future?
Well, Jeb's a good guy, but I don't think a name from the past beats a name from the past.
There are a lot of people talking about Donald Trump right now. He's now leading in some polls. Jeb Bush has said that he believes what Trump has said about Mexicans is really meant to inflame and incite. Do you agree with that?
Well, I think Donald Trump and any of the others can speak for themselves. What I'm going to do is lay out what I'm for.
Eventually, though, you could very well be on that debate stage with Trump, and if he said on that stage what he has said about Mexicans, what would you say to him?
I'd say, like I said with other kids, I respectfully disagree with him. I have a policy when it comes to immigration. Mine is simple. Secure the border, enforce the law. I don't believe in amnesty.
We drive to Delavan, Wisconsin, one of his first jobs at this McDonald's. The grill where he once stood, still there. The second drive-through is new.
Just checking out the old stomps here. I used to work here as a kid.
And for the first time, his family sits down with us at the governor's mansion in Madison.
With your dad running for president, with your husband running for president, and I'm curious, how does the family feel about this?
We've definitely been telling our dad that we think he should.
I think we're ready for it. I mean, we can never be ready for this, I guess, but we've had quite a few campaigns in the last 4 years, so I think we're ready.
Yeah.
When he first met Tonette, she was from a Democratic family.
You actually got married on Ronald Reagan's birthday.
We did. I don't know if I knew that at the time, but I think he liked that fact.
He counts on Tonette for guidance, but they don't always agree, nor do the boys. After the Supreme Court ruling on same-sex marriage, they were all on one side, Dad on the other.
You called it a grave mistake, and I know that you heard from within the family that not everybody agreed with you on that.
Her cousin married her partner, one of the governor's sons, a witness at the ceremony.
And so when your husband, the governor, says it was a grave mistake, what do you say?
Well, I was more concerned that I got calls from both the boys being upset about what Scott had said. And so my advice to them was, don't come to me, go to him. He said it.
But you haven't changed your stance.
No. But we love him. And for us, love's going to be the focus of everything we do with our family.
They talk a lot about family, his mother, his father, a Baptist preacher, but he just might share his idol, Ronald Reagan, with someone else.
We read that one of your college professors said you used to wear three-piece suits instead of jeans and sweatshirts during college. The professor said it was like teaching Alex P. Keaton.
Yeah.
I got to attend all the evening meetings to be eligible for my first promotion.
Alex P. Keaton, that's not a bad thing to be compared. It's kind of funny.
Are you ready for this race?
Yeah, I think it's, I'm excited.
I'm David Muir for Nightline in Madison.
Bernie Sanders, back on GMA. Great to have you back.
Good to be with you.
Senator, I want to get right to the headlines about Donald Trump, what he said about abortion, punishment, and women if it's banned, later reversing himself. But you heard Hillary Clinton there. She pointed out that you said Trump's words were shameful, but that you then said it's a distraction from serious discussion.
David, I said a lot during that, but let's put it into the context.
Yeah, but bottom line, you do believe it's a serious issue.
Do I believe it's a serious issue? I've been spending my entire political life fighting for the right of a woman to control her own body. I have a 100% voting record, pro-choice voting record. And if elected president, not only will I continue to defend the woman's right to choose, I will take on those Republican governors all over this country who are trying to restrict and take away that right. What Secretary Clinton did is take things out of context. I am 100% pro-choice and will defend women's right to choose.
You talk about taking on the Republican governors, and I wanted to talk about a promise you've made before in this campaign, saying, quote, you're looking at someone who has never run a negative TV ad in his life, never will.
Right.
If you get this nomination and you're running against Donald Trump, you're not going to run a negative ad up against
What I will do is contrast my record to Republicans who want to cut Social Security, want to cut Medicare, believe that climate change is a hoax, want to give hundreds of billions of dollars in tax breaks to the top 0.1%. So I will contrast my record, but I think the American people want to hear about the issues relevant to their lives, not about savage attacks against other people. The middle class is disappearing. Almost all new income and wealth is going to the top 1%. People are working longer hours for low wages. They want change. They want a president who's going to take on the 1%, take on Wall Street. That's what our campaign is about.
Senator, I wanted to ask you about that moment. It appeared to be a Sanders supporter when Secretary Clinton was asked if she would honor a pledge not to take fossil fuel money for her campaign. Let's take another look at her reaction here.
I am so sick of the Sanders campaign lying about me. I'm sick of it.
Your reaction to that this morning?
Well, I'm not crazy about people disrupting meetings, but the fact of the matter is Secretary Clinton has taken significant sums of money from the fossil fuel industry. She raises her money with her super PAC. She gets a lot of money from Wall Street, from the drug companies, from the fossil fuel industry. On the other hand, we have received over 6 million individual campaign contributions, averaging $27 apiece. I'm proud of the way we are raising money.
The Clinton camp celebrates their individual donations, too, as you know. Wisconsin is next, then New York.
By the way, we have twice as many individual
Twice as many for the record.
Right.
You were born here in New York.
Yes, I was.
Secretary Clinton was senator here. This is going to be quite a fight. And we heard you say there just moments ago, if we win here in New York, we're going to make it to the White House. If you don't win here in New York, is it over?
Oh, God, no. No, there are many, many states to go. We are fighting hard in Wisconsin. We think we got a real shot to win here in New York, and then it's on to many, many other states. We have won 6 out of the last 7 caucuses. We have closed the gap in national polls. In terms of contests with Donald Trump, last CNN poll had us 20 points ahead, much further ahead than Secretary Clinton. We think we got a real shot to win this.
I wanted to show you a clip from SNL. I'm sure your team has watched this a couple of times at least. Hillary Clinton in the clip being parodied, sounding a lot like, well, you. Take a look.
I'm angry too, because the top 10% of the top 1% control 90% of the wealth in this country. And I've always said that.
Senator, do you think being in the race, you have forced Secretary Clinton to evolve her message?
I think if you look at issue after issue after issue, she has moved very much closer to us. But I think the real, what people really have got to look at is who has been there for decades, who has time after time taken on the special interest, whether it's Wall Street, the drug companies, the fossil fuel industries. And I think if people check the record, they'll find that Bernie Sanders was there a lot earlier than Hillary Clinton.
All right. Senator Sanders, always great to have you on.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Tonight with our one-on-one just moments ago with Donald Trump. It's been a tumultuous 24 hours inside the Trump campaign, firing his campaign manager, new and disappointing fundraising numbers revealed, and tonight a new and blistering attack from Hillary Clinton. Tomorrow, Donald Trump will get his turn, but he's right here tonight. For the first time since the Clinton attack today, Trump now responding to her, to his fundraising numbers, to the national poll showing Clinton growing her lead. But he says, watch Ohio and Pennsylvania. Our sit-down came a short time after Clinton made the case, calling Trump's economic policies, quote, dangerous.
Just like he shouldn't have his finger on the button, he shouldn't have his hands on our economy.
Right afterward, we took those very words to Donald Trump, and here's what he told us. Hillary Clinton said of you just today that just like he shouldn't have his finger on the button, he shouldn't have his hands on our economy. Were you watching?
I was not watching. I heard what she said. I built a great, great company. It's worth tens. I mean, it's just a very, very valuable company. Some of the greatest assets in the world, including with what we're sitting on right here. She has a bad temperament. She would do so badly with the economy.
But you know their argument that President Obama inherited the Great Recession, that he created 14 million new private sector jobs in 6.5 years.
But we haven't come back. We have a dead economy. We are dead stagnant. We're losing our jobs to Mexico. We're losing our jobs to so many other places. I mean, you look at Mexico, what they're doing, it's unbelievable. It's like a modern day miracle where the companies, whether it's Carrier or Ford or so many other companies just pouring into Mexico.
You know, you bring up Carrier, Ford, you've criticized Apple for taking jobs overseas. And Hillary Clinton said something today that we'll likely hear again from her in this general election, that the Trump ties are made in China, the Trump suits in Mexico, Trump furniture in Turkey, Trump barware in Slovenia.
It's true. And you know why? Because they devalue their currencies and they make it impossible for companies to compete. And she doesn't have to say that because I say it all the time. I say, unfortunately, my ties are made in China. And I will say this, the hats, Make America Great Again, I searched long and hard to find somebody that made the hats in this country.
But back to that point, when you criticize Carrier and Ford and Apple, you know what the Clinton camp is going to say. They're going to say, how do you criticize them when you're doing the same thing?
I openly say I do it, but you know what? Let them charge me a tax when the tires come back in. I mean, let them charge me a tax. I'd love to be able to not to do it. And the way we're not going to be able to do it, and the way people will stop doing it and stop moving, as an example, Carrier announced they're leaving 1,400 great people that have worked for them for many, many years, and they're moving to Mexico. But if we put a barrier from them, and we have to do it, we have no choice, because we're losing all our companies.
What kind of barrier are you talking about? Because the argument is that will hurt the economy on this side.
It's not going to hurt the economy. It's going to make America much richer.
There was something that she said today. She pointed to something that you have set out in the campaign trail, saying, I'm going to do for the country what I've done for business. But then she argued that you intentionally ran up huge amounts of debt, you bankrupted your companies not once but 4 times, and that hundreds of jobs were lost. How are you going to respond to Clinton? And were average Americans affected in any way by these bankruptcies?
Okay, so what I've done is I've used brilliantly the laws of the country, and not personally, just corporate. And if you look at people like myself that are at the highest levels of business, they've used, many of them have done it many, many times.
But did any average Americans pay the price, though, for that?
No, but I'm running a business. You have to understand, I'm running a business. I'm running a business for myself, for my company, for my employees, and for my family. Hillary wouldn't have any idea how to do that. Don't forget, somebody has to understand debt. She doesn't understand debt.
We know this will be her argument this fall, that every major candidate in the last 4 decades has shown the American people their taxes. She says maybe you paid nothing or close to nothing. Maybe you're not as rich as you say you are. Maybe you haven't given away as much to charity. So I wanted to give you the opportunity to respond right now to Hillary Clinton. Will you reveal your taxes to the American people before the election?
As soon as the audit's done. I'm under a routine audit. I've been audited many, many years in a row. There are audits that go, and they're routine. And by the way, you don't learn very much, if anything, from a tax return. I filed
but they'll learn your tax
papers.
rate.
No, but I filed papers with the federal elections. Now, when the audit's complete, 100%. I don't care. Now, a lot of people haven't filed their tax return. A lot of people haven't given their tax returns prior to a number of years.
What if that audit is after Election Day? Is there a chance that your tax return won't be?
I don't know if there will be. I hope it's not. But you know what? If it's before I give my tax returns, I have no problem with it.
There's a chance we
there
won't
would
see
be
them.
a chance, but I think it would probably be done before. It's very routine, but there would certainly be a chance.
And about this question over charity that she brings up on the campaign trail, do you want to reveal how much you paid to charity?
Well, I give a lot of money to charity. I would certainly tell you about it, but I would give you. I'd have to come up with a number. I think I revealed over a period of years I've given over $100 million to charity. I think $102 million or something thereabouts to charity.
But you can come up with that number for us.
I think I would. Yeah, I would have no problem with it.
Your former campaign manager, Corey Lewandowski, fired in the last 24 hours. He told us that he didn't see this coming. Your son, Don Jr., told me this morning that he was in the room for that firing. How big of a role do your children play in these decisions?
I really have them involved mostly with the business, and you know, they're people that have great respect for. They're my children. I have great respect for them.
But back to your son being in that room, Don Jr., that was pretty eye-opening for a lot of people, I think. And will there be a role for him, a role for Ivanka in a Trump White House?
Probably not. I would leave them to run the business. And I think that's what they really like doing, and that's what they're doing now.
We brought up Corey Lewandowski. He's now out, so you fired your campaign manager. Some pretty disappointing fundraising numbers for May.
Well, they're not really. I mean, I think there was only one day that was reported. And just so you understand, we've actually had some very good days, but they're not reported yet.
Let me just ask you, in the same time frame, though, you raised $3 million. Mitt Romney had raised $23 million in that time frame. John McCain, $20 million. And you're up against Hillary Clinton, who raised $25 million.
Well, no, she's getting her money from the Wall Street guys and all the special interests. And I really don't, I'll be honest, you know, I've never raised money before for this because I've never done it before. I think I'd be very good at it. As far as I'm concerned, I'd be very happy to continue to self-fund. You know, I have...
Are you going to continue to self-fund?
I may.
How
because
much?
To me, I think, I don't know, I can do whatever I want. She's going to spend $1.2 billion on an election. And I'm trying to say, where do you spend that money? Remember this, I spent $50 million and I won. Other people that were running against me spent many times that amount and they lost, not even close. I won in a
Will you spend another $50 million in the general or more?
I might. I really might decide to do that.
More of our one-on-one with Donald Trump on the way. He points to the very close polls in Pennsylvania and Ohio tonight. He also weighs in on Hillary Clinton's faith as we ask him what he would like to know about her and religion. And we ask, what would be off limits in going after Clinton in the general election now? That's later tonight on Nightline and tomorrow on GMA. We're going to have closing statements here in just a moment, but before we go, a quick lightning round. Come November, 2 battleground states, but they face off tomorrow in the Super Bowl. Governor Kasich, who wins?
Of course. Carolina's going to win that one. I hate to say it, but they're going to win that one.
Governor Bush.
Peyton Manning's supporting me, and I'm for Denver.
Senator Rubio.
Well, I was going for Peyton Manning, but now I'm rooting for Carolina.
Paul Cam. Mr. Trump.
Carolina.
With an eye to February 20th, Carolina.
All right, Dr. Carson.
With 100% certainty, I will predict the winner. It will be either Denver or Carolina.
Yeah. Governor Christie, the last word.
Denver.
Denver. Thanks so much, gentlemen. Closing statements in just a moment. Right here as the ABC News Republican debate continues from New Hampshire.